Hey there again, this is Frank, job recruiter and developer. I just posted part 4 of my job search series. Today is Friday again. It's kind of a chill kickback day for me. So I just want to kind of have a little fun right now in this video. And again, we can talk about or maybe make fun of some people in the past, people I've interviewed. Now, let me ask you a question here. When you see me wearing a hat like this, doofy, right? Okay. Now, if you're 15 and young and good looking, and if you got your hat like this, oh, it's really awesome and cute. But when you're a man my age and you get on the bus for a job interview and you look like this, they said, you know what? I think we better think twice about interviewing this guy. There's funny things that people do all the time. People are funny. I mentioned in my last video in part 4, people say the darndest things and do the darndest things. Um, Sometimes, I mean, it's not that I'm really making fun of people. It's just I make fun of the way they do things. Like I was coming off of the train the other day in the city of Pasadena, and as I was getting off, there was a lady. Maybe she looked like to be in her early 30s, and she had mascara all over her face, and I can tell she probably was tweaking and whatever. But I mean, I feel sorry for people like that. But sometimes I just can't help laughing at some of the things that they do and say. But even in job interviews, oh my God, I can't. Over the years, I have over 30 years I was doing this, okay? Interviewing and being interviewed, and oh gosh, some of the things that people will just say are the darndest things. I mentioned in my last interview about this young man at 34 years old going to a job interview and them asking him why he felt they should hire him. And he says, "Well, I still live at home with my parents, and they think it's about time I find a job." At 34 years old, you still haven't found a job, and you're admitting this to an employer. Oh my gosh! So I doubt seriously if that's the kind of candidate that they wanted to hire. All right. But again, today's kind of a chill day, and for me anyway. But for you who are in the job market, uh, try to keep an active job search 20 to 22 hours a week at least, and gather your thoughts, gather information, put together simple spreadsheets that you can go back and follow up on jobs that you've applied for. Because, if you're applying, and I've always say this, at least 10 to 14 jobs a day, you should be applying for. And if you get real focused, okay, maybe 8 jobs a day. Okay. But even at that, within a week and a half, 2 weeks, you're going to want to go back and follow up on them. I mean, what is the sense, guys, applying for a job, and if you're not ever going to hear anything, or if you're not going to be motivated enough to push through? There's a phrase that they're using in human resources now. It's called push through. Whereas that you want to give a push from yourself to them. Not that you're trying to overbear them or anything, but you got to let them know that you're interested. And some of the wackiest and craziest things I've seen even on job applications over the years is hilarious. On As one example, this fellow had in the box where it tells you what position. He says this is the way he wrote it: "Man, I'll do anything." Okay. Then the other question, by the way, now this is going to be a little bit more serious here, okay? When they ask you, have you had a misdemeanor or a felony? If you've had either one, you need to check that box. And where it comes to the line where it says to please describe, do not go into detail what happened. That will screen you out. Trust me. What you want to put in that line is, I am willing to mention the whole situation in a job interview. That will work. Okay, you're being honest and you're not divulging information, because I have seen where guys who, again, they'll check that box whether they had a felony or misdemeanor, and then they'll go out and they'll write a whole damn paragraph. And I see one guy, he even said over on the back, and oh my God, he went into this, it was a whole domestic abuse situation, and oh my God, no, 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 you don't want to do that. So even when you get the opportunity in an interview to discuss whether it was a DUI or whatever it is, you want to explain what happened, but then you want to move it to a positive note, what you're doing or have done to rectify the situation. Remember, you want to be about problem resolution. That's what employers want to see, resolution to whatever the situation is. And they'll appreciate that. I've coached and counseled people on that, and trust me, they've gotten the job. So keep in mind that on the application, now maybe some of the funnier things we'll talk about. I've seen people where it comes to, they submit a resume, but on the job application, the employer still wants you to go ahead and put down your work history. Now, this is a very wrong thing to do. Not funny at all, really. Do not put on that application, please refer to my resume. That shows them that you're lazy and that you're not following instructions. They do that for a purpose. They want you, even though they have your resume, they can read it, they still want you to write out, job by job description. And sometimes they even catch people lying. Their resume will say one thing and the application will say another. So you don't want to get into a situation where that happens. Okay, maybe some of the funnier things too on the applications, they may have even on somewhere in the application, is there anything else you want us to know about you? Oh my God. I've seen one where this one lady, she says, well, I have a habit of shaking my legs a lot at work. Did I want to hear that? Or do you even want to disclose that? Tell me something more or interesting about you. There's a time right there to shine. Well, yes, Mr. Employer, let me just reiterate some of the core skills that I mentioned. Bullet point them again, da 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 da. Again, show them that you have enough oomph about you and that you have a pulse, that you're willing to do that. Now, let's talk a little bit about having a pulse. You may have heard this saying a long time ago. I heard it. It said, dead at 80, but buried at 80 and dead at 20. So what does that mean? At 80 years old, they finally got the coffin and they buried them, but at 20, they were already dead. And they lived all these years like in a coma for whatever they were doing. Who knows? They give the impression like, I don't care. And by the way, doesn't that turn you off? Especially in an interview when people give this aura about themselves like, I don't really care. Let's talk about being clueless in an interview. Let's talk about a young man at 18 years old who I sent to an interview. And he goes in with his cell phone. And during the whole time, apparently he was texting his girlfriend. And finally, the interviewer says, young man, would you mind putting your phone down for now? Can't you wait to do that? So anyway, he gets out of the interview, and I call him up, and I said, so how did the interview go? Well, I don't think the employer liked me. Why? He says, well, do you think it was wrong, Frank, that I was texting my girlfriend during the whole interview? I go, what? Are you clueless? So, couldn't that have waited? And I'm sure whatever he was talking with his girlfriend about was just foolishness anyway. Come on. And then I've seen, now I'm going to say this to those of you, and believe me, I have nothing against lifestyles or anything else, but I just want to say that I've had a couple of people do this in a mock interview. I'll ask them a question, about tell me something about yourself, and lo and behold, they'll say, well, I want you to know first of all that I'm gay, and that and being a mock interview, I said, stop. I says, why did you feel it was important for me as an employer to know about your lifestyle? Well, I just want to make sure they're going to be comfortable. No. Listen, Again, that's your lifestyle. Whatever you embrace, cool, that's up to you. But you're going for a job, okay? So they don't want to necessarily hear about that. Why? Because they can make a prejudice about you, or prejudice, I mean, about you, and they will write it. Now, you know what? Legally, they can't be prejudiced against you, but you know what? That doesn't mean they need to hire you either. Okay. Again, I've worked behind the scenes with HR people, and I know how they'll rub people out of situations. Okay, it's it's not pleasant, but it's against the law. But you know what? There's no law that says they have to hire that particular individual, as long as they keep it away from their race and creed and lifestyle and all that. They say, oh well, simply we found a better candidate with better skills. That's the way they're going to phrase it. So if I were you, again, I would try to keep away as much as possible from your lifestyle and things that may hinder you from the job. Okay, well, enough for today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.